films. Who Framed Roger Rabbit is one of those home runs that Hollywood hits every once in a while. It's a movie like 2001 or Close Encounters or especially like E.T. that's a technical breakthrough and a lot of fun both at the same time. This movie is great entertainment from one end to the other, but it's also one of those films where you're always asking yourself, how did they do that? The movie takes place in Hollywood in 1947, where it assumes the cartoon characters and human beings were living side by side and working in the movies. It tells the story of a cartoon star named Roger Rabbit who gets framed for a murder and has only one chance of being cleared, a private eye named Eddie Valiant, played by Bob Hoskins.
How did you get in here?
Through the mail slot. I thought it would be best if I waited inside. Seems how I'm wanted for murder.
No kidding.
Now notice there how realistically the animation is combined with the real world. It looks like Roger Rabbit is really there in the human universe. And look at the way here that real water and a cartoon rabbit interact in this scene as the bad guys come looking for Roger and Hoskins hides him.
Okay, wise guy. Where's the rabbit?
Haven't seen him.
What's in there?
My lingerie.
See, Ryan.
Roger Rabbit has a sexy wife named Jessica who is briefly suspected of trying to frame him. She's a singer who performs at the famous Ink and Paint Club. Listen to her voice here. It was dubbed by Kathleen Turner.
I'd do anything for my husband, Mr. Valiant. Anything.
The cartoon characters are named Toons in this movie, and one of the things that makes them different from humans is that their lives are governed by the cliches of animated cartoons. That explains how and why Roger can get out of those handcuffs.
Does this help?
Yeah, thanks. Do you mean to tell me that you could have taken your hand out of that cuff at any time?
No, not at any time. Only when it was funny. Come on, Eddie. Where's your sense of humor?
Is he always this funny, or only on days when he's wanted for murder?
And it's amazing there how they really seem to exist in the same physical universe. In previous movies, you might have a little cartoon character dancing on somebody's shoulder, but they never really seem to really be there. There have been a lot of previous movies where animation was combined with live action. For example, Song of the South with Brer Fox interacting with Uncle Remus, or Mary Poppins, but it's never been done anywhere near this well before. What I want to do now is look at this scene coming up now from the movie and pay special attention to what the filmmakers are doing and how.
Get out of here, get me some money too.
That was amazing there where she seems to actually be touching his cheeks. This is Jessica in a nightclub scene, and now watch how she's all over Bob Hoskins here. That's Amy Irving's singing voice. Look, her hand goes under the coat goes back, the hat leaves, now it's pushed in his face. The way they did this was to have all of the props operated by hidden wires or by hidden operators, so that later on when the animation comes in, the props would move just as if the animated characters were moving them. The hard part for Hoskins, look at him there, he really seems to be looking at her, and he had to act through this whole movie all by himself. He had to imagine that there was a girl there. He does a great job, and then look, his tie pulls out and it's dropped again. It's just amazing the way those cartoon characters are integrated with the real thing. It's terrifically well done, so well done that after a while you give up trying to figure things out and just go along with the story, which has some serious undertones, as those tunes are treated like second-class citizens. Who Framed Roger Rabbit is a co-production of the Disney and Spielberg companies, directed by Bob Zemeckis, who made Back to the Future, and the animation is by Richard Williams, whose Raggedy Ann and Andy we liked several years ago. One of the most impressive of their achievements here was to convince other Hollywood studios to loan out their cartoon stars. So we see not only Disney characters like Mickey Mouse, but Warner Brothers heroes like Bugs Bunny. I could hardly believe it when there was a piano duet starring the two great ducks, Donald and Daffy. This is a wonderful movie, one of the year's best films.
Oh, I think so, absolutely true. And again, the dominant reaction that I had, mouth agape, how did they do that? Now, one of the tricks that I learned that was very interesting, and an improvement in cartoon technology is, and even an improvement over the classic Disney cartoons like Snow White, which would animate every other frame, so that it would, instead of 24 frames a second, like you see a person on movies, they did it 12 frames to save money. And 2 frames are similar. Every single frame here is animated. They wanted the animation to look as bright and real. All 24 frames are animated, just like Bob Hoskins is running at 24 frames. And I think that's why the film is brighter, more exciting than most cartoon things that we've ever seen, including the opening 4 or 5 minute pure cartoon sequence that opens the movie that is so dazzling and so funny that I tell you, I am going back to that movie to see that sequence again.
The opening sequence of 5 minutes had me laughing louder than any cartoon I've ever seen.
It was hysterical.
And then you're quite right, when you go through this film, they cast shadows.
Yes.
They seem to, the floorboards bend under their weight. When they are in the dishwater, the water is moving. How they did it is, obviously they just worked and worked and worked. And one of the achievements that we really should point out, I think, is that Bob Hoskins was able to interact with an imagination. It's like Alec Guinness in the Star Wars movie saying he had to spend all of his time in an empty room imagining spaceships there. It's really hard to act like that.
This is bigger than that. Bob Hoskins was picked, I'm told he was not the first choice, that they wanted to go after some comic actors, well-known comic actors, instead of Hoskins. I think they made the right choice going with Hoskins as counterpoint to the... Let Daffy Duck be funny. You need an iron center, sort of a Sam Spade kind of character, and Bob Hoskins, for my money, is the best guy to do it now.
He is matter of fact. If he were going around all the time saying, "Oh my God, look, this is this is Bugs Bunny here," nobody would think that was funny. But the fact that he's seen these tunes all of his life and it's routine and he accepts them makes the movie seem more realistic.
Here's the big question I have: who is the film going to be more entertaining for, adults or kids? I know who I think.
I think more for adults.
I agree, absolutely. 2 thumbs up and 2 jaws dropping open in admiration for the animated live-action extravaganza, Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Of course, Who Framed Roger Rabbit is the dazzler this week. It's
one of those movies that you sit there and you want to see it a second time.
Absolutely.
Because there's just too much happening. I couldn't take it all in.